Hi, Jacqui. Thanks ever so much for talking to me about some questions that we've had from our friends in schools and in particularly in one of the bigger multi-academy trusts in Norfolk. And they just want to know some stuff about Norfolk Teacher Training Centre. And I thought if I put the questions to you and you tell us, then we can send a little video to partners in Norfolk and beyond and make sure that they're up to speed with the fantastic offer that we've got at our Teacher Training Centre. So tell us a little bit about NTTC, how long we've been going, and how other people might be able to work with us.
Okay, thanks, Seb. NTTC has been an initial teacher provider from 2014. We achieved good in our Ofsted in 2023, and we're now accredited to continue ITT training from 2024. We run a School Direct skit, PGTA, and assessment-only routes into teaching for both primary and secondary, working with a variety of schools in Norfolk and Suffolk, including special needs schools, those in the private sector and public schools, and of course, MATs.
PGTA? What's that?
Postgraduate Teacher Apprenticeship. That's
Okay.
unique to us, Seb. We're the only provider currently of the apprenticeship in this part of the county.
So I'm slightly digressing from the question that has been sent to me, but can I just check, can people use their levy to pay for that apprenticeship?
Yes, they can. Levy paying or non-levy paying, you get a grant from the DFE. That helps pay towards our fees, £9,000, for us to be the partnership in an apprenticeship to provide the online training.
Fab. Okay, so that's what sets us apart from other providers at NTTC.
Yes.
We offer the assessment only route and the apprenticeship route. So does
As
that
well as
mean schools or academy trusts that have already got a partner could come to us just for the apprenticeship bit if that's
yes,
not being offered? Okay,
and the
fab.
assessment route.
Uh,
Both we work with providers across the county who may work with other ITT providers for those courses.
okay, so and how do people get going? How do they start with us?
Well, potential trainees come to us for School Direct through seeing us on the website or social media and phone us up or apply through the DFE apply route. Or schools and or individuals within schools contact us and say they have somebody that they see potential with, they want to train as a teacher, or they think they've got the experience to do the assessment only route, and we work with them to see if that's indeed the case.
So is there a bit more you can tell us on the application procedure? I think that's what colleagues in school particularly wanted to know. How do they get
Okay.
on board?
Okay, School Direct, it's via the DFE apply site where they make an application. We scrutinise that application, we check qualifications, we then invite to interview. We can make conditional offers based on their qualifications. We then see their references, and if we're happy with their references, they join us. If it's assessment only, we send out an application form to schools, to the person concerned. They complete that. If we feel they've got the correct qualifications, which we're going to talk about in a minute, we then, with the employer, interview them and see that they are appropriate for the course for the 12 weeks. For the apprenticeship route, we work with schools who've come to us. We explain all the ins and outs of the apprenticeship in detail, and then together we make that interview, post the application via reply to ensure that we're all happy we have a potential teacher on our hands.
So you've touched a little bit on suitability. Is there any sort of vetting and anything else that we do around that?
Yes, we look at qualifications and experience. Obviously, we've got assessment criteria that we have to meet from the DFE. So make sure that that's right, particularly the experience for assessment only. DBS, we check, child barred list, make sure they haven't failed any other courses before when they've tried to provide train for teaching. For those from abroad, we have to go through ENIC to get equivalencies for their qualifications and to ensure that they've got visas for the whole length of the training course. We also look at references and check referees. We look at their social media presence and evidence who they are, passport, driver's licenses. For postgraduate teacher apprentices and assessment only, we check them experience matches the particular requirements for those course. And as we check employers, and employers check them as they would any other member of staff, and then provide us with the evidence that they've done those checks, including that they've had safeguarding training, prevent trading, and read the Keeping Children Safe in Education.
Fab. Quite a list, quite a lot of checks we do, but
We
that's
have
all
to,
good.
Seb, yes, we've got to get the right people in front of children.
Absolutely, and
We're very
schools will do a lot
fussy.
of that, don't
Yeah,
they?
Yeah, we have high expectations. We want the best. We will work with people with additional needs and particular circumstances because we're small enough to offer that bespoke service. But certainly, we want the best teachers training in schools.
Fab. So, what are the qualifications that people must have?
For assessment only, they have to have a first degree, GCSEs in English, Maths, and if they want to do primary science with C or 4 and above. For assessment only, they've had full responsibility for pupil progress in 2 contrasting schools across 2 key stages for at least 2 years. Lots of 2s there, Seb. And obviously, they've virtually got the evidence against the teacher standards because it's a 12-week course. For the postgraduate teacher apprentice and School Direct, they need first degrees. Again, GCSEs in English, Maths and Science for primary, C4 and above, or equivalencies. So we can get equivalencies for if they don't have the GCSEs. And for the PGTA, obviously experience of working in school and an employer because they can't come on the apprenticeship route without being employed. And then obviously the qualifications they gain with us is the School Direct and assessment only achieve QTS, which they can use throughout the world. And the PGTA is a level 6 apprenticeship, which is slightly higher, sort of in line with the PGCE.
Fab. So let me just check on this apprenticeship route. So people often have got employment at their school already, and
Yes,
then they become a teacher, but they could also be recruited as an apprentice into a teaching post.
Absolutely, and we've had both examples. So it's either going to you're struggling to recruit in the area, or you're struggling to recruit a subject. We start getting applicants, and you contact us and say, "Have you had any maths applicants? We need a maths teacher. We'd like to do an apprenticeship." Or you've got somebody in school that you want to grow your own, as I call them. Make sure that they have your values and you've seen potential, and together we decide that yes, that's the right route for them.
And those positions, are they temporary or permanent?
Well, the postgraduate teacher apprenticeship, you aren't required by the DfE to give them a contract for at least 15 months, the length of the apprenticeship. And for assessment only, obviously, they're a member of your staff who are teaching currently on your timetable. School Direct, it's only placements. They're not permanent, and you might have them there for a term or maybe 2 terms, depending on which placement they're on.
Okay. And the length for the other routes, so apprenticeships are 15 months. Are the others
That's right.
12 months like a
Yes.
PGCE would be?
Absolutely. 12 months. No, the assessment only is 12 weeks, Seb, but the School Direct is 12 months from September through to July. Because we're a small provider, that's great. We get to know our trainees really well. We offer bespoke resources, and we can be flexible to the needs of our trainees as outlined in our Ofsted report. But for those that are on the PGTA route, again, September start, and assessment only we can take throughout the year because it's a 12-week course.
So if these routes allow different lengths of time or require different lengths of time, and we've got a federation of maintained schools, let's say, in the east or in Broadland, we've got some school federations that have got multiple schools, like 6 schools or whatever, or in multi-academy trusts, they sometimes have even more schools. Could they move between schools of the same employer? That's all okay.
Absolutely. And we have negotiated that. Sometimes, particularly the apprenticeship, they have a complementary placement for half a term, and they see that there's an opportunity to move within their MAT. As long as it's a contrasting key stage and it is giving them a different context, then that fits the criteria.
So can I just come back to the earlier question around the interviewing and the
Yes.
making sure people are right for a position in teaching, how are the schools involved? Because if they're a school employee, presumably the school would have had to interview them to appoint them. So how does the interview work between NTTC and this school that hosts a student of different in a different pathway?
Okay, so for the apprenticeship, they'll have some sort of role in school, be it high level teacher assistant, TA. So they'll have interviewed them for that, but they do have to still apply on the DFE apply site to be an apprentice teacher. So once they've done that, we involve and work alongside the employer all the way through. So all the checks, all the interviews, the interview questions, all that, making sure that they're the right person in the right place, we do together. And we feel that's really important. Same with assessment only. That's a joint interview. We both make the decision. For School Direct, we do the interviewing, and then we place them in schools that we know work with us and will give high quality experiences.
So I think we've already clarified that the apprentices are always employed by the school. So that's employed
right.
by the school. And I think I also heard you say that we only start in September. That's our
Yes.
starting point for each of the different teacher training routes. That's the model we operate. So people start the training in September. I think that's one of the other questions we had from some friends in one of the schools. Let's talk about money.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
who gets paid and who pays?
Right. Well, for the assessment only route, they're a paid employee anyway, and we charge 2,500. Now, sometimes the candidate themselves pays, sometimes the school pays. So that's fairly straightforward. School Direct, they pay themselves, or there might be bursaries, which the DFE pay to them if they're a shortage subject, for example. As far as apprentices, they're paid, and the minimum the requirement is unqualified scale level 1. Some are paid already as HLTAs, and if that's more than that, schools have tended to stick to that pay rate. So that's as far as paying the trainee. Paying us, the fees are 9,000, which the levy helps towards paying if you're doing an apprenticeship.
So apprenticeships covered by the levy. That is brilliant. Particularly for schools that are either maintained because the local authority has got levy available, I think.
Yes.
People should certainly ask. When I was last there, the levy was not fully spent on schools. So there is definitely an opportunity for schools, even if they haven't generated enough levy themselves. And for most of our big federations and academy trusts, they have a wage bill that means they have their own levy pot. There is levy sharing available across Norfolk as well. I know that. So there shouldn't be anything stopping a school from choosing the apprenticeship route in terms of being able to pay for that training element. Now, another aspect that affects cost is how much time people need to be freed up on timetables, or the level of time, the amount of teaching hours they can have on their timetable. Do you just want to touch on that for the trainees?
So for the assessment only route, they're teaching a full timetable, but there will need to be time for a mentor to meet with that person 1 hour a week and to do an observation. For the School Direct and the PGTA, they need a mentor. At the moment, it's 1 hour per week. From 2024, it'll be 90 minutes, and obviously an observation per week. Timetabling, as far as paid employees, we don't want them doing more than 80% of a timetable, much like an early career teacher. So to enable them time to train. So those are the most sort of timing things. For apprentices, you'll also need to consider you'll be paying them, but they'll be away from you for half a term. So that's an added cost that you need to make sure that you've considered.
So they have to be away for half a term because they have to do
Yes.
a placement in another school, and that's a
Yes.
requirement for the apprenticeship. That's not us as NTTC.
Yes.
That's a national requirement.
Yeah.
So it's just something for schools to take into account, that they will have half a term's worth
Absolutely.
of pay when they're not receiving somebody, unless, of course, it's within a trust. So the
Yes.
school benefits somewhere
Yes.
else within the trust, or in a federation where they go in another school in the same federation. That would be possible.
Yeah.
But I presume 2 trusts or 2 schools could also make a reciprocal arrangement.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
And most do.
So there is a way of managing that
Yes,
additional cost
absolutely.
to keep the costs for the school down, and we know school budgets are under
Tight.
pressure.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a bit about the expectations that we have got from the school in terms of, you know, what we expect of the school, what the school can expect of us.
Okay, well, we have a high quality curriculum, and that's been endorsed by Ofsted. We have 100% pass rate over the last 3 years. So the teachers we're training, we're giving them high quality. For us, it's important that schools have great mentors because we know that partnership works. That they have the experience within school. That they have a CPD program. That they support their mentors. They're getting that quality experience in classrooms, working with experienced colleagues who share their best practice. I think that's the success of moving forward with training. We have partnership agreements and data sharing agreements with far more detail, which we do when we work with schools individually.
And then just to summarize a little bit, what's the advantage then over these routes compared to a traditional PGCE ECT early career teaching route?
I think it's about hands-on. They're there from day one, working in school, getting to know the life of the school, developing that resilience, developing that understanding, working with the young people and with colleagues right from day one. And that for me is a real positive experience. We obviously pull them out to develop further experience as far as subject knowledge development and particular aspects of the curriculum. But working in schools, getting on with the job, being part of a school community is a vital part of the training. For apprenticeships, obviously, that's unique to us at the moment. And we know that that's fulfilling a very positive role in schools that struggle with recruitment or have people that they see great potential and they want to keep them.
Fab. So how do people get in touch with you?
They can go on the website, NTTC, norfolkttc.org.uk. They'll get a link to a prospectus. They can phone us 01603 773708, where George or Julia, our development officers, can take their inquiries, or via the email, there's a form they can fill in with any questions, and we'll get back to them within 48 hours.
Jacqui, thanks ever so much. I know that we've gone through quite a few questions, so I bombarded you with questions, but I can see that you were prepared. You know what Partners in Schools normally asks us, so I'm just going to encourage people to get in touch with you because there are some opportunities for next year, particularly in 2024. We have still got a bit of capacity.
Yes.
Particularly at secondary, we have got capacity to take on some additional apprentices and support them well, so that so schools can grow their own teachers, which is
we're here. We'll answer any questions. We'll help in any way. Looking forward to hearing any inquiries.
Fab. Thanks ever so much.
Bye.